nutrition is the key to address most of India's health problems. ISW Council's Bharat Nutrition Week between 1st and 7th of September is a sign of our commitment for making a healthy India. This is another landmark initiative to bring all stakeholders together to bolster the efforts of making a Poshan-Yukt Bharat for all. Now, Indian cuisine is known the world over for its vibrant flavors, delectable spices, and fresh herbs. But how does it go when it comes to the nutrition quotient? According to a research by the Indian Market Research Bureau, the protein deficiency in Indians is more than 80%. 73% of rich urban population is protein deficient, and 93% of them are unaware about the daily requirements of protein based on their body weight. But proteins are the building blocks of cells in our body. Many people think they unaware because they think that only those who do bodybuilding need proteins, but actually proteins are needed in every cell of our body. Wherever there is wear and tear, whenever repair is involved, we need proteins. And we are seeing that 71% of Indians have poor muscle health as well. And that is directly related to the fact that proteins are lacking. So milk, eggs, chicken, and pulses are the well-known sources of proteins. But if you check the inflation data in India for the last few years, you will see that the maximum price rise when it comes to food categories is in the protein-rich category. So our topic of discussion today is pocket-friendly nutrition, vegan and non-vegetarian nutrition fight. To talk about this, I have with me very knowledgeable set of nutrition and well-being experts. Please welcome Garima Bhandari, yoga and wellness and image coach. She's an internationally acclaimed yoga expert, and she recently served on the panel of experts for the Ministry of Ayush in the first ever Digital Yoga Conclave 2020. We also have with us Nidhi Mohan Kamal, nutritionist, director, NITSAN Wellness, and she's a food scientist with a food and chemical engineering degree and a specialization in nutrition and sports-specific nutrition. We also have with us Seema Jindal Jajodia, owner, Nourish Organics. Seema Jindal is the founder and MD of Nourish Organics, India's leading clean label functional food company. Welcome to this talk, ladies. We're very happy to have you with us. And what we want to discuss is, of course, how nutrition can be reached for Indians, which is pocket friendly. So let me start with Nidhi. I'll come to you first. Do you think that micronutrient malnutrition and especially protein deficiency is a big issue in our country?
Well, this is an issue in the country, and I mean, obviously, a number of studies have already suggested that there is a deficient in terms of protein. But as you rightly said, that a primarily meat-based diet is what is looked at as nutrition. But I'm sure Seema would add to it that there are a lot of native Indian foods which are very protein-rich, but I think they're not marketed very well. So they're not considered, and they were a very integral part of our diet earlier on when we did not have any Western influence, but now we kind of mixed up. So we have picked up things either from the West, partially from our past. But if we eat according to what our climate is or what is native to us, I think we can find a lot of protein sources which are cheaper, easily available, local, seasonal, and very, very good for your health. I'm sure Seema will add a lot.
We will come back to the list of proteins that meet those criteria. But Seema, Nidhi is saying that we've gone away from what was traditionally our diet, from traditionally what we used to grow. Now, how much of that is responsible to the because of the way the government also caters to food security in our country? You will stockpile rice, you will stockpile wheat in the country. People who used to have bajra, ragi, they are now eating more of rice and wheat because that is the way our food security is built. Stock up rice, stock up wheat, and that's our diet. That's mainly carbohydrates. So, it isn't just about for people like us who have many choices. Yes, we don't even know about our traditional, millets and other foods. For those who used to know, feel that चावल and गेहूं for 5 रुपए and 10 रुपए जो सरकार से मिल रहा है वो ले लेते हैं. They don't realize the impact it has on the nutrition.
So, hi Anisha and hi Nidhi. Nice to see you again, Nidhi. And I know that Nidhi knows about Nourish Organics, and I hope Anisha you do too. So you're absolutely right. When India was trying to get that reach the mission of having that nobody should remain hungry. Then the easiest things to grow were the staples, which became wheat and rice. And that is a literally industrialization of farming per se, where put in as much fertilizer, let's put in as much, let's grow the fertilizer industry, let's grow the pesticide industry. And the end result was that our native wheat, which used to be very rich in protein, actually became, totally GMO and genetically modified, and it doesn't have the same properties as now some of the vendors have kapli wheat, some special varieties of wheat, the indigenous Indian wheats. More than that, convenience foods and the westernization of our culture. So to say we want to look a little more Western or American, by eating burgers and pizzas and pastas and cakes. I remember growing up, cakes, my mom used to make cake only if there was a birthday in the house. But now every second day, we can just walk into any mall, any place and pick up a, cake and eat it. And what we don't realize is that we are filling ourselves with empty nutrition, empty calories. And so we're missing out on nutrition. And where, if we still go to some of the parts in the hills, especially, where their indigenous food is all the different millets.
Yeah.
So they are not eating all this maida and all this. They are eating samak, they are eating ragi, they are eating madua, they are eating all these amaranth. They are eating this as like a normal thing. Like we will think that, oh, today I'm having madua ki roti, I'm like a
and it's exotic. We see that as exotic.
But in the hills, and a lot of areas in the south also, they are treated very normal, and that's what they eat because they realize the benefits of that. Some of the things which are very reasonable and very high in protein is our matar, dry matar. It's called safed matar, peela matar. And very typical dishes are made, in Calcutta, it's called ghugni. In Delhi, it's called matra. And these are all things which are very popular and made in a lot of households. It's a very easy thing to prepare. It takes in a lot of water. And so it's actually a very easily digestible protein. And the way it's cooked with a lot of ginger and things like that, it gives it the right digestive enzymes as well. So I really, today I thought the battle, or sort of the fight was between vegetarian and non-vegetarian. And but I think the battle for all of us is that how to get the indigenous foods and the rightful place of them in our kitchens, in our
diets,
in our diets.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Talking about cakes, Seema, ever since the lockdown, people are just trying baking and, cakes, not even on a weekend. It's like cakes every 3 days because people are so bored sitting at home that they feel that, baking skills should be worked on. Now, I'm going to take that vegetarian versus non-vegetarian battle to Garima. Garima, I wanted to understand from you, the belief is that the Indian diet is largely a plant-based diet, and that is one of the main reasons why we are protein deficient. Now, in Ayurveda also, plant-based diet is recommended for a healthy body. So what do? Healthy body, plants, plants, less protein? How do you manage? Garima, sorry, you are muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Sorry, apologies. Thank you, Anisha, and thank you everyone who's present here with me. Yes, very rightly said that, there's this always huge dilemma between vegan, vegetarian, and somebody says I'm a pure vegetarian. Somebody says that, I'm going plant-based. But there's always, some sort of a discrepancy when it comes to will I be able to suffice for all the nutrient deficit if I switch from non-vegetarian to being a vegetarian and all that. But it's a misnomer because vegetarian and vegan diet is completely full of all that we need. And I, being a Pahadi, as Seema was saying, I've eaten my ghee, my madwa, my ragi from my bachpan, so for us, dessert would mean madwe ke laddu, madwe ki roti with homemade ghee. So I still follow that till date, and thankfully my kids have developed a taste for it. And I think all these naturally grown millets and grains work wonders for your overall body functions, brain functions, robust, what do we say, robust overall development of your entire body in terms of strength, stamina, anything that you need. So for me, as you were pointing about the Ayurveda part, I would definitely like to quote here that Ayurveda also says that you are not what you eat, but you are what you digest. So it's very, very important to also keep that in mind, that eating right is definitely important, but also moving your body to be able to digest it and having a robust metabolism is also equally important.
Right, but where do you stand, Garima, on this vegetarian versus non-vegetarian diet? Because now even the government has a milk plan to increase dairy farming. We in India have the biggest milk output in the whole world. We're the biggest producers of milk, and because there is a protein deficiency, the government also says more dairy farming, more milk and milk products. So is that the way to go forward? Animal sources of protein?
See, I feel that to each their own, because almost 16% of our body weight's composition is protein. So it's an indispensable part of our existence, and we definitely need dairy to suffice. But these days, like I see a lot of people being lactose intolerant. So there are definitely other ways to suffice for that kind of a deficit. But dairy is an essential part of a person, and I think it's imperative to have dairy if you can, if you're not, intolerant to dairy.
So right. Are we allowed to butt in?
Yes, please go ahead.
So my thing about dairy is, the antibiotics and the medicines, the hormone medicines which are given to the cows, to continue lactating, is what's really scary to me. Because we don't know at what level it's going inside our body and creating harmful effects,
Yes, definitely. There is a concern about even, antibiotic resistance, which comes in because of, the antibiotics that are given to cows, to chickens, and then we finally consume them. And that is also another health problem. But really, I want to understand whether I can get all the proteins I need by just following a vegetarian diet. Nidhi, could you help us there? Because, it is a belief that lentils, dals are good source of proteins. Other than that, I don't know of many vegetarian sources. Soybean is also supposed to be a good source of protein. Are these readily available in our country? If you are vegetarian by choice, is it a given that you will be protein deficient, or can you actually get good sources of proteins?
Okay, so just to elaborate a little bit, I'm vegan for the last 4 years, so no dairy, no meat, no animal products. I second what Seema said, that now dairy is being pushed as an industry. Now there are two things. One is it required as a nutrition? And secondly, do you need it as an industry? Now, just forget everything else for a minute. Forget that milk is an industry and it's a commodity. Just think of it as one animal species and another. One animal species produces a secretion, lactate their kids because they cannot eat anything else. And then another species comes in and says, I need your lactating solution for me to survive. Technically, it did make sense to me. The reasoning I give everyone else that why do you need milk? Milk is a growth hormone and food for a baby calf to grow 250 kg. And
Sorry, we are not. It's not. Very, Anisha, am I the only one?
I
can
I'm
hear
having a problem listening to Nidhi. I think we'll go back to Nidhi again once the connection is more stable. But Seema, you spoke about pesticides and how antibiotics enter the food cycle, and it is not intentioned for this. But organic food, which is a good alternative, which is the thing to do, is viewed as an expensive alternative and hence only reserved for a few select people in our country. What is the way out? How can we have organic food which is more affordable?
I think it's very important to remove this, that organic is expensive sort of a label, because, it doesn't have to always be certified organic. If people start eating local and seasonal, then you don't have to eat organic. So it's really important to see what is growing in this season. If it's like mangoes season is now over, but we will continue getting some mangoes because they'll come from the cold storage. It will be a little more treated and so on and so forth. But now the apples are in season, so if we keep on switching to what is seasonal, then not having any treated and, too much chemicals into our product. So it's okay to not have organic, but at least have local and seasonal.
Yes, but say in Delhi, we get a lot of our fruits and vegetables which is grown on the banks of the Yamuna. Okay, now the banks of the Yamuna are not proper agricultural land. Plus, the Yamuna carries all industrial effluents you could think of. So, I mean, if I'm going to eat local, I am going to get a lot of products which are not good. In fact, it's documented that there is, there's a big problem of worms because the kind of soil that they are growing the crops in is not very conducive. And I mean, these worms find their way into the vegetables, into you, and then wreck your body. But if I have to, in a big city like Delhi, if I have to go and buy only local, then these are my options. I can understand in Bangalore there are a lot of organic farms close to the city.
Anisha, in Delhi also we have a lot of farmers now who are growing nearby, and it's really important to get to know your farmer. And this COVID time has really given us a lot of opportunity to actually see what we are eating. I have personally growing vegetables on my little terrace for a long time, and I have tori, and I have peta, and I have karela growing right now. More than that, every Sunday when the farmers markets used to happen, in Malcha Marg or City Fort, or there's so many farmers markets that happen now. So I have built my connection with some of the farmers. So even though the markets were not happening, I would talk to them कि भैया क्या हो रहा है आपके यहाँ आजकल, अच्छा हम आपको ये भिजवा देते हैं. So there are options. So where there is a will, there is a way. And
but we need some awareness because I live a stone's throw away from City Fort. I didn't know there's a farmers market.
The organic farmers market at City Fort is fantastic, and there's a really nice one at Sundar Nursery. And they are a delight to go to because, if somebody is growing something, they sell it like their own baby, it's like they sell it with so much passion. And when you buy that food which is grown with so much love, you also get a lot of benefits, besides the nutrition from that food. So get to know your farmer. I think, the the more we can inculcate the habits of growing even little bit vegetables, whatever we can on our terraces, in our balconies, get our children involved, use the spare plot which is lying next to your house, grow something there, let the community have it. During the pandemic, I shared my seeds. I had some extra seeds. So I gave it to a lot of the people in the colony, and every time somebody's Karela comes out, they are sending me a message that, my plant has this, and it's such a great community feeling. I think these are things that, as you said, the Yamuna sand is not nice, and there are growing cases of the worms and other things. All these are indications that we need to move inward. We need to take things in our own hands. We need to do, we need to add some love in our balconies, in our terraces, and start to grow things and get to know where our food is actually coming from.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And we have Nidhi back with us.
If it's growing in Yamuna, I would go and meet the farmer there. भैया कैसे देते हो, ये कैसा पानी है, आपके बच्चे खाते हैं क्या ये, chances are that he's not giving that food to his children, so it's good, it's a good idea to go
Get
check
to know who you buy your food from. Nidhi is back with us. Nidhi, Seema was emphasizing on the fact that you don't have to buy certified organic food to get good nutrition. But you were talking to us about good sources of proteins, because there is everyone knows there is a protein deficiency in our country. It is attributed to the fact that we are largely plant eaters. So what's the way out? Even if we want to be plant eaters going ahead, will we have to live with the protein deficiency?
No, we don't. It's again, correct me if I'm wrong. Commercially, it's not viable for anyone to prove the good points of plant-based, where you can, because the billion-dollar industry is the supplement industry. So unless you prove something is required, how are you going to create a need for it? If we are the most we are the most protein deficient country in the world, we also have lesser cardiovascular issues. We have less mental issues. In terms of consuming medication, we consume way less prescription than the rest of the Western world, which is primarily not plant-based. So there are all sorts of advantages also that come, but they're not talked about as much. We, again, your second question, are we going to remain nutritionally deficient, protein deficient, henceforth, if you're going to be plant-based primarily? I think it's a very big myth that plant-based is protein-less. It's not the case. See, in nature, everything, as Seema has discussed so much about nature and getting close to your food. See, in nature, everything happens in harmony. So if you pick up a food product which is whole, unprocessed, and raw, it will have every nutrition that you're looking at, because your body doesn't need protein.
Yeah, but if I'm only growing potatoes and eating potatoes and cucumbers, I'm not going to get the proteins, even though I may have grown it myself.
Yeah, but I'm saying that if you combine your food, you're not going to, obviously you will not consume potatoes in isolation. What if I just told you that potato is also one of the richest source of vitamin C? Bingo. We didn't know about it because it was never marketed to us. Every time you saw vitamin C, you only saw something which oranges or lemon or whatever. So citrus is what we associate with. So there are so many things that you don't even associate with, which in nature happen in balance. So potatoes are primarily grown in areas where you don't have any vegetation on the field. So all the cold countries have potatoes, and their lifestyle was built around having potatoes with meat, because that's what their nature was. Their climate is, that's what their requirement is. And if you look at Indians, and I'm not going to say just Indians, I think Chinese as well, these are civilizations which revolved primarily around agriculture, because we had the land, we had the water to do it. So hence we had more of rice and wheat. Again, I think in the beginning of the discussion, you said rice and wheat is what is controlled by the government, and because these
in the PDS system,
yeah. So because we have a very solid supply chain for both these things, they're consumed more. Of course, that's of course, that's the case. But, we've also heard people say, both of them, I think Garima also said that Pahadis eat everything. And I'm a hardcore Punjabi. And I know that rice and roti is our primary thing, but it seasonally changes. We also have missi roti. So when it's winters and palak is in season, you have everything. So I think you can never be nutritionally or protein deficient. You have to know your food in and out, from where it's grown, coming onto your plate, how you're cooking it. Also, that's also important. How you're cooking it and how you're balancing it. So we can't really isolate. It's such a complex thing. You can't really isolate it. And but at the same time, when I say isolated, even if you're isolating it in a factory and selling it off as, oh, this is vitamin C, this is your protein, I think that way we cannot find balance, because the body needs protein, carbohydrate, and fat. But that's just the macronutrients. And there's a bunch of micronutrients that come. So when we're talking about food and calories and protein is what we discussed. But what we need to discuss is nutritional density of food. And if we just shift our focus from calories and protein, which are like the benchmarks these days, or carbohydrates, again, a very big scare around them. If we shift our focus from just defining food as protein, carbohydrate, and fat and calories, and make it into nutritional density. So if I look at a food item and I don't look at calories and I only focus on what is the nutritional density, I am sure you will be making the right choices, because we had the right choices in our system, in our ecosystem. They have been sent abroad, repackaged, and gotten back to us. Classic examples is New York. You can go to Starbucks and buy turmeric latte. It's not their culture. We bought it. We sent it out, and now it's come back to us.
Yes.
I remember, again, my dadi was Pahadi, and she would always make alsi ke laddu in winters. And I mean, for the longest time, I didn't realize that, when I grew up, I was consuming flax seeds, and it's the best in thing. And, that's like superfood, and we're talking about it, we're writing articles.
Make flaxseed crackers now.
Yeah, I've had those. Yeah. And that's alsi. And
yeah. So, what you're saying is that we shouldn't focus on, the label saying this much protein and this much carb. You should look at the nutritional density. Now, Garima, I also want to come to you, because, you spoke about, good food, but good food is one that is absorbed well in your body. For that, you need a basic amount of metabolism. So you need some amount of exercise to come into your life as well. But there are believers of Ayurveda who feel that animal foods are not digested well in our bodies. I have seen so many WhatsApp forwards that if you eat chicken, it just stays in your gut for 5 days and it rots there, and all these things we hear about. So I want to understand from you. You're a yoga expert. Would you then say don't have animal fats? If that is true, they are not absorbed well in the body. All animal products, even milk and ghee, for that sake. Because there is one set of nutritionists who say ghee is very good in omega-3s and it's good for us. We've had it through the years. We should continue with it. Some people are saying animal products are not good because, it doesn't agree with our bodies, doesn't get absorbed very well in our bodies. So where do you stand here?
Yes, in yoga practice, it is like a natural progression to this kind of a ahimsa, non-violence that comes automatically, that, you get this strong repulsion and aversion towards animal products, primarily the meat. So, somebody's flesh in your plate to satiate your palate is not considered, very good in yoga practice. And in terms of Ayurveda, yes, definitely they hugely believers of sattvic diet, which really helps to balance out all your triyodosha, which is your vata, pitta, kapha, which is only and only possible, they say, if you have a plant-based diet. or it's an amalgam of all the Indian herbs, millets, and also the cooking practices that come as a major role play in Ayurvedic practices. So they definitely believe in only and only plant-based diet. And also, as a yogi, I know that I have been a non-vegetarian before, and I have seen the transition from that phase where I used to believe that yes, fats are definitely essential, ghee is essential. I used to feel that oh no, I need animal fat to replenish the protein quotient in my body, and as Nidhi was pointing out that there is this mindset which is there that this only and only in isolation can suffice for that part, which is not true, because when I moved from being a non-vegetarian to being a vegetarian, I realized the changes in my body. I could feel that I am much more healthier, and my practice is even better. My practice, which used to last 1 hour or something, is now 2 hour 45 minutes. So there is definitely good energy level. My skin is better, my hair is better. Touch wood, I feel definitely I have a robust immune system because I don't really fall sick very often. So these are the lifestyle changes that I've noticed in my own personal experience and capacity from being a non-vegetarian to a vegetarian. So these are all positive and very formidable changes. And I don't see any of this to be true that you have to be a non-vegetarian to be able to suffice for all the nutrients in your body.
All right, but then why are we protein deficient? We are largely plant eaters.
So Anita, I think sorry, did you ask me that question?
Yeah, I was asking Garima. You can also comment, but Garima, you've said that you've seen a great change in your body, but what to do about the protein thing? Because on an average, engines are shorter. At older age, when your muscles become weaker and weaker, not having protein is going to come. Not having enough protein.
So how do we say that we're not having enough protein? I think vegetarian, there are so many sources of vegetarian diet, which are full sources. It is comprising of micronutrients. It is comprising of vitamins, minerals. As Seema was pointing out initially, eat local. My ethos is completely like local food, locally grown food, and seasonal fruit is something that is, your superfood. So superfood, when I say superfood, it definitely has protein in it. It could be your ragi, jowar, bajra. There are so many things. There are nuts, there are watermelon seeds, there are sunflower seeds, there are almonds. There's so many things that, mix together in the right proportions definitely can add to your protein intake every day. So it's not devoid of protein if you're just a vegetarian or a vegan.
Seema, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Anisha, I think, as you said that a lot of people in their older age are losing muscle mass and there is protein deficiency. That's simply because, a lot of women in India especially are not paying attention to what they are eating. And, they are trying to feed everybody else in the family, and they are the last priority for themselves. And I think for them, it's really important that, the message of nutrition and knowing that your rajmas and your cholas and your chana and all these things are really besan, these are all really protein rich things. And it's a good idea to plan your weekly menu. It's really important. I mean, just because there are so many options, but if you are not going to pay attention to what is being served every day, even if you are eating local and seasonal, but you may not ever make dals, you may never make certain things. So it's really important to follow a certain system where you know that, okay, I've included a good carbohydrate today, I've gotten a good green, I've gotten a good protein source, and that is now a complete meal for me and my family, you know.
Okay, so meal planning is also important.
But I think one portion, one thing everyone's kind of missing out on is we, even though we know what sources of protein are good for us, I think portion size is going to be a huge thing here. Just to give you a perspective, if you want to, a human body, an average human would need about 1000 mg of calcium every day. Now, if I have to source it from milk, I would need about 1.5 liter of milk a day per person. Imagine how much you would need to consume. And if I consume about one big bowl of rajma, it's one portion size of even a small katori of rajma is about 350 mg. So that means if 3 bowls of any pulses, lentils, or whole legumes I'm consuming in a day, I don't need a drop of milk to consume as much calcium as I want. And that goes with protein as well. Typically, you would see Indians eating, and there's this pile of rice, and there's this dal. And that kind of explains it. Even if you have the best source of protein in front of you, you're not consuming it enough. One has to understand that it's not plant-based is bad versus animal-based. Animal-based protein is very compressed. And when I think I've turned so many people vegan over years, and what I generally do also is when I'm transitioning a person from a animal-based diet to a plant-based diet, I always tell them, give yourself 2 weeks, because your stomach is not going to understand what's going to happen. Because when you're eating this much, I'm going to feed you this much. So much roughage comes with plant-based protein. So one has to understand that even if you have the best source of protein in front of you, with animals, you eat it's compressed.
A little bit. Yeah, very compressed.
And
that's what it is.
Plant-based, you have to eat a lot.
Yeah, but that is when people complain that eating that much rajma and chola gives them gas. And they're like, how are we going to deal with this? Not just rajma and chola. Should you be eating cabbage and gobi and beans? Again, you'll have digestive problem, because it is known that these are complex carbs, which are much tougher to break down in the body than proteins, which are so acidic that with the stomach acid it just goes.
Yeah. It's not actually, I won't really call them difficult to digest. I think you have to make your body used to digesting them. I think I'd rather put it that way. Everyone will have an issue digesting them initially, but your body also needs that much roughage. So I think that's why plant-based is considered healthy, because it's good for your gut to have so much roughage. I think I'm just going to close it.
There's a long-term benefit of a vegan and a vegetarian diet is much more than, the animal-based.
Yeah, we'd like to thank Nidhi for joining us on this discussion. Nidhi is a little busy and has to go somewhere. Thank you so much, Nidhi, for bringing in your views on how to build up on our proteins and how to have a well-balanced, nutrient-dense diet. And we'll continue the conversation with Seema and Garima. Now, Garima, I want to come to you. There is all scientific data will tell you that plant-based proteins have all the amino acids required, and our body makes a few amino acids, but we don't make all. And if you eat only plant-based diet, then you don't get your amino acids. Is this true?
So I think if there is any kind of deficit in terms of amino acids, though this is not my core competency subject, nutrition and diet. I'm a yoga practitioner, but I've been a plant-based person for years. I definitely believe in one thing, that if there is anything that you feel is a problem area that that you're not able to work on, then supplements are your go-to thing. I don't see what is the glitch in people's mind that they have this strong aversion towards supplements. Supplements are there to replenish anything, whether it is omega-3, whether it is your vitamin D intake, especially in lockdown when people are completely not getting any form of vitamin D. So supplements come in as a huge aid, as a huge immediate succor to fill in that kind of a bridge, if there is any.
Right. Seema, Nidhi was also saying that we need to focus on protein dense food. Plus, you said that, sometimes we don't pay attention to our meal planning. Now, to somebody who lives in a small town or is in a village, they are making do with what they get, and they also go to the PDH store and they buy things. Like my mates are from Assam. For them, a big pile of rice and potato curry is the best food possible. Now, that is their culture. That is what they have been eating for a long time. Maybe it's because of what was easily available to them in the villages. Now, how do you create the awareness that we need a more nutrient-rich diet, and it can be done locally? How do we create the awareness among the masses?
I think again, this is something that at a government level we need to reach out to Anganwadis and start it where the children are small, where the mothers are coming with their children, and give them information on how protein rich is peanuts. Peanuts are a very good source of protein and fats, which are very beneficial. And peanuts are also something grows in almost every part of India. It's very widely available. It's part of I'm not sure, but in Assamese cuisine it's there. But I know in a lot of our other cuisines in India, everywhere we have peanuts in some form. You crush the peanuts and you put it, or you make a peanut chutney, or you add peanuts to something. Because peanuts were a nut which was not like the price of the almonds or walnuts, things like that. But it's a poor man's protein, and I love peanuts. I'm a very biased person to peanuts. And then things like chana. So I remember initially when Nourish Organic, we were developing products. My mother was in one of the ministries in Haryana, and she asked me to develop a very low cost, high protein laddu, which would be made of peanuts, chana, gur, and just simple laddus, which can be given to all the children in the Anganwadis when they come, like a pre-meal snack or a post-meal snack. So there are things like that, which I would love to work with the government to develop some really low-cost, high-protein items, which can be really given to, instead of just, again, in the PDS system, as you said, it's just wheat and rice. So if we can build in some very tasty til ke laddu, sesame is again a very good source of high protein, and sunflower seeds are plentiful available in our country. Again, melon seeds are very high in nutrients. So these are things that can be mixed together and made into, like in Nourish Organic we have bars, so we can make it into laddus for mass consumption. And that's the way we have to educate the mother mainly. If we can reach out to the mother in the house, the woman in the house, the girl child, and just teach them about nutrition, because a girl goes into another house or in her own house, she can create and get everybody to start imbibing those habits.
Right. Garima, Seema is suggesting that we should reach out to the, Anganwadi workers, the women of the household, to get greater awareness about nutrient-dense food. Now, what about yoga and the healthy way of living? Now, in my children's schools, I see that there is yoga, but my children and the other children see it as a form of PE, physical exercise. It is not seen as a holistic way of living, and I don't think it is even taught like that. It is okay for well-being of the health. There isn't a lot of emphasis on pranayama or meditation. So, do you think that if we have to begin with educating on the grassroots women and children about nutrient-dense diet, then we must also, teach yoga at school level in a fashion that people should make it a way of life, not just as a physical activity.
Yes, very rightly pointed out by you that, people look at it, the practice of yoga on merely a physical plane by calling it a PE, or just, like it's meant for only flexible people, and so many other myths around it. Whereas the real thing about yoga is that it's a work within. So a lot of work you're doing within instead of calling it as a mere workout. Anything that happens other than the internal changes that you encounter are all just a byproduct of this practice. So definitely, as I said, there are these modifications are in your diet also 100%. You become very well aware of what Seema was saying कि क्या खाते हो, कैसे खाते हो, कहाँ पे grow होता है, who is selling it, from where is it coming. All your sensory organs start to work. So your central nervous system is very aware that I'm only supposed to eat in a certain way, eat in certain timings, what are my windows to eat, and with this practice you're able to enrich yourself internally completely, that you have this kind of a camaraderie with food, that you look at it and the first impression you understand that, is this going to, am I being justified to eat this? Will I be able to even digest this food? It naturally comes. I've seen this happening with so many people. So they start with yoga practice just as a physical practice to kind of work on their immunity or increase their lung capacity, but eventually when they blend it with their dietary modifications, they are able to see more results, and they're able to find themselves more emancipated and stronger.
Okay. Then Seema, Garama is pointing out how yoga completely changes the way we are. What I wanted to then discuss with you is that, in school we need to have a program. But how about the awareness about nutrition? Because that is not even part of a curriculum. And is that fraught with a little bit of, dilemma? Because traditionally we've been told about the food pyramid where carbs are the maximum, and and traditionally we have been told that banish fats because they lead to cardiovascular problems. When we later on we came to know that these were motivated studies, and it's not actually fats, but too much carbs that can cause problems like diabetes and heart problems. So if you start diet counseling or instruction about nutrition at school, is that a good idea, or could that be counterproductive?
I think that's a really good idea. I think all children must know about what is a balanced diet, because I see children who are going to school, whatever age, they understand. A lot of mothers are very particular these days about not giving too much sugar to the children, because they can see the effects of having Coke and having Red Bulls and sweets. And the children are in a buzz, and they don't know how to control them then. So I think it's really important that the children also understand the effects of sugar on their body. And as if more yoga and other things are done, it's more about tuning inwards and knowing what am I eating, and what is really going with my body now, and that's the way I want to be right now. Like if it's my sports period, am I being able to play very well, or am I really feeling like lethargic because I've just eaten a big burger, And so if the children learn to tune into their systems, and that will come with regular practices of yoga and mindfulness. And I think, good schools where the, little traditional methods of praying before you ate, everybody ate in a group and you offered the food to the Lord before eating it yourself. These are all things to inculcate mindfulness. And then when you eat with mindfulness, even I think you can digest stones also then,
But Garima, Seema thinks that, if kids know that sugar is bad, they're not going to want sugar. I don't know if that works, because, even as adults, we all love sugar. We all love the wrong things, right? I'm sure kids will also understand the importance of nutrition as they age and as they understand what suits them more. But, one of the reasons why we in urban areas we have a protein deficiency is also because we eat all kind of junk food. We have Coke, we have pizzas and burgers, which are not nutrient rich at all. And even though in schools, teachers repeatedly tell their kids, children that no junk food, no junk food, it is okay, allowed once a week or something like that. So, do you think, along with an awareness about what is nutrient dense, we also need an awareness to or a campaign to reduce the consumption of these kind of products?
Yes, I totally second you on this point. Especially mothers have to be very, very aware of the fact that they all know, they all are aware that vitamins chahiye, minerals chahiye, fats chahiye, carbs chahiye, dairy, protein, sab chahiye, sources bhi pata hai. But what is really amiss, I feel, is that understanding that why are these things required, you should know that for your child, this is required for their brain functioning, for developing their central nervous system, for उनके cells को grow करने के लिए, muscles को grow करने के लिए, fibers को grow करने के लिए, and इन सब चीजों को absorb करने के लिए in the body, we require these things. So, as for sugar intake and junk food intake, kids themselves are so very well aware of the repercussions, long-term repercussions that these things can really have, because thanks to the awareness that schools are creating now, my kids eat their 2 or 3 meals in the school daily. Whenever they go, I mean, not during this time.
Now,
So, so the meal chart is properly planned, where there is a proper segregation of what you eat in a day is giving you what calories, what nutrient is there in this. So they read that, they go through it, and they understand. So they, I know my kids are like, my elder one is almost 12, and we go out so many times, even when traveling, they never ask for aerated beverage or burger. They have never even touched in their life. So it didn't come from me. It came from their own awareness. They have their own ecosystem where they are very, very self-aware that, this is not going to work for me. And yes, mothers have to be very, very aware that, I think completely restricting everything is also not okay, but anything can be had in moderation. So sometimes if the kids like it and they want to go for it, it's fine, they're eventually kids, but when anything goes in extreme, that's where it is worrisome. So nothing in extreme, but everything in moderation is fine.
So Garava, you put a lot of heavy lifting on the mothers, their awareness, how they, bring it all up, the meal planning, moms are driving everything. Now, also, moms are hard pressed for time, and sometimes it's just easier and quicker to fix Maggie in the tiffin and let's go with Maggie, even though they know it's not, the best for their child. But, I didn't have the time. What could I do? I just had to make do with Maggie. Now, Seema, since you are with Nourish Organics, I want to understand from you, what kind of food innovation can we see that, mothers who are hard pressed for time, may not be very aware also, can have ready solutions available on nutrient rich food? Like, I go to a store, I have, cereals to buy, cornflakes to buy, such things to buy. They're loaded with sugar. They give me an easy way out, but they're loaded with sugar. Is there scope for food innovation of our own traditional Indian foods that can be, processed in a fashion where the nutrient density is intact, but the usage is easier? It doesn't involve soaking overnight, cooking for 40, pressure cooking for 40 minutes, and then masalas, and then the whole jing bang, something that can be prepared quickly but is nutrient dense. What kind of food innovation would you like to see?
So, Anisha, first of all, I must apologize that going by our general conditioning, we are only talking about moms. I think it's the dad's equal responsibility to feed the children and show them the right way. And so going by that, I will refrain from saying mothers, I will say parents' responsibility. And I think Nourish Organic is very particular in, when we are designing our products, and all our products are my recipes. So we when we are making them, we try and keep the sugar to an absolute minimum. So in our cookies or in our cereals and all, the sugar is also coming from mostly sources like dates and raisins.
Okay. Natural sugars.
So that's absolutely natural. And we are also using coconut nectar. which is it's a sap that comes out of a tree in West Bengal, and it took us a lot of time to kind of develop that, but we're using that, and the GI index of that is much lower than that of
regular sugar, white sugar.
And white sugar, again, the table sugar, which we call, is highly refined with sulfur and things like that to make it white. Otherwise, the color was a dark brown. So by having these natural kind of sugars and then having it with fiber-rich foods is almost like so if you have one of Nourish Organics cookies or bars, you feel really full. And if you are left feeling full, then chances are that you will not have that sugar dip, which normally when
happens,
you have something very high,
yeah, simple complex.
After 1 hour, the insulin level, when it drops, we feel a real slump of energy.
So that's because of the simple carbs, right? They just
simple carbs, because they get absorbed so quickly into the stream, and the insulin rises, and we feel suddenly a lot of energy. But after a while, that same rush comes down, So all our products are designed that in a way that pretty much the way nature intended. We've just put them together and tried not to mess with things, because we are totally a clean company. We don't add any flavors, preservatives, any kind of chemicals. So it's as pure and natural as possible. And then because the way it's packaged, it is easy. It is available to you. You can carry a box of mixed seeds into your bag. You can carry a packet of cookies in your bag, and eat it when hunger strikes, so that you're not making the gap between your meals a very large one. Because if you make the gap very big, then chances are that you'll reach out to that packet of chips which is hanging. You'll reach out and you'll just eat that without thinking, because when we are hungry, we can't think. So it's important to have the right things on hand. So, and our breakfast cereals are again made, some of our granolas and our mueslis have whole grain. They are not refined grains. So they come with their own fiber and all the nutrients in them. So when you're having them, they are complete foods. So we make it very easy for parents to eat healthy and to give their children healthy stuff. Yeah.
All right. But going ahead, what kind of food innovation are you looking forward to, Seema? What more can busy mothers look forward to?
Busy mothers in our school community have even transported their birthday parties from McDonald's or any fast food chain to locally, to give kids have this rendezvous with the locally grown food. We are actually hosting birthday parties in these farm places where they give them a tour. They actually go inside the kitchen, bake their own pizza. They know where the cheese is coming from. They know where the cherry tomato is coming from. They even have workshops on Sundays where kids can go. So there is all this which is already happening.
There's a lot of awareness going on. But Anisha, Nourish Organic, we are developing vegan protein bars.
Okay.
And, that should be out soon. And then we've also come up with 4 different types of trail mixes. Again, this is all because one of our taglines is healthy eating for urban living. So it's on the go kind of foods, which you can carry with you. So these are just very healthy, very clean, very tasty nut and seed mixes, which you have. And then we already have a flaxseed cracker. We are coming out with an oats and seeds cracker. Is my current favorite, So
kids can have it too, all these things?
Sorry?
Kids can have it too?
Oh, kids will love it. Kids will love it. We have some of our kids who are our customers are 2 years old, 3 years old, and they love our bars. So I'm really happy that those mothers are...
Especially to ward off the evening hunger pangs and midnight hunger pangs. I think they come
What I was trying to get at was, Seema, that, these days there's so much innovation in food which has taken place in the Western countries, and it all may not be very, very good. You have frozen pizzas. You just take a pizza slice, put it in the microwave, and eat it. Or you even have frozen meals. They'll have some rice, some vegetables, some sausages. You just open it, put it in the microwave, and eat it. So as not as much as snacks, but as full meal replacement. Do you think we can see any kind of innovation there, like ready paranthas that are nutritious, made from different kind of millets and other flours? Can we have these ready to be which will be air dried and then given with just cook with a little oil or something? Uh, can we look forward to these kind of food innovations as well?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I hope we'll develop some more interesting things in the months to come. And yeah, that's a suggestion well taken, and we'll work on that for sure.
Let's hope they're healthy as well, because
Yes.
I remember in New York you used to get those paranthas, but there were layers of ghee.
Yeah.
So they didn't turn out to be very. They couldn't even finish
I
one.
think
It
it's
was so
very
heavy.
important to learn how to make your own paratha, because that way is the only way I can think that you can eat it healthy.
Yeah, but let's hope there are some solutions that come, because making paranthas requires skill. A lot of skill, because most of the times you just wreck your paranthas. But thank you so much, Garima and Seema, for joining us on this discussion and talking about how we should focus on nutrient dense food and not just focus on how many carbs or fats or proteins are there. If we add variety to what we eat, if we eat locally and we eat nutrient dense food, I'm sure all of us will be healthier. Thank you so much for joining us today.